don't know what happened last time, but I tried to stream some Blackout gameplay that I had to kind of give you guys an in-depth look at my decision making when I play and whatnot. Um, Here's a match where I didn't necessarily win. I got in top three, but the circle kind of messed us up. Where if it didn't do it, you know, my strategy was probably definitely like my strategy is probably like most of the time always gonna win me the game. Uh, unless like some situational things happen, like the circle closing the way it did in the area that it did. Um, my aim ended up being the biggest problem for me in this area. But uh, I'm gonna tell you guys exactly what my decision making was when I made every decision, and exactly what was going on in my head when I chose to do the things. That way you understand that I'm not just doing anything. I'm doing it based off of my decision making. So let's start off with this. First off, where am I landing? Right. So based off of the area of how the map is set up, right? The beginning is here. Anywhere the beginning is, you never want to jump if you're gonna play it safe, because this is where the most people are gonna drop at. Everywhere over here is going to be the safest. Anywhere in this area, not necessarily anywhere, like you don't want to drop anywhere near the line if you're going to play it safe. That's first off. Nowhere in this line. So all of this is a no-go, right? And then anything closest to the bottom is a no-go, right? If you're going to play it safe. So the only safe places that there were estates, construction site, these little mansions over here, uh, maybe this little area where the helicopter is sometimes, and then that's really about it. Let me turn these off. And then, darn it. I was hoping I wasn't going to have to do this, that it was going to show exactly how I was looking around. But in this moment, right, I'm actually looking around to see where my enemies are or whatnot, figuring out if there's anybody else coming to construction site. I didn't see anybody necessarily, which doesn't necessarily mean nobody's coming, just means I didn't catch them if they're there. So the second hint that I always wait for is the amount of parachutes that I hear deploy. So when I land, I personally always choose to land at the top of anywhere I go. I try to get the highest ground for a few reasons. First off, it's hard. The higher ground is always the better ground just because you're a harder target to hit as opposed to somebody on lower ground. Because I have the ability to hide my head if I choose to. When you're on lower ground, your head is as apparent as I choose to make it. Also, at this area, there's only so many ways you're gonna get to me if I have the high ground in this area, which most of the times is stairs. So you'll see me land like at the highest possible part that I can because I have that advantage. So here again is where you're gonna hear. I didn't see anybody, but I'm listening for how many parachutes I had deployed. 3. Right, I heard 3 parachutes deploy, and I listened for that initial rip, that zip, right when the parachute, around the time the parachute deploys. It's not necessarily the beginning, but it's like around where, like, I guess it's supposed to be the real sound of the parachute deploying. Um, so once I hear that rip, because all the parachute sounds make it sound like there's multiple parachutes going off, I heard the third one, so I immediately think there's a guy here. So the first thing you should always do is, if you think there's somebody around, clear your areas. Don't loot anything unless you know the area is clear. So one thing I know for a fact is nobody landed at this top part. The only way you're gonna get to me is the stairs. If you did, I had expected to find a gun here. Keyword on expected. And a lot of times you're not going to see the actual loot that I pick up actually be picked up. Uh, Oftentimes you'll see me circle around ammo uh, a bit, just because sometimes the guns don't load in, and I know where there's ammo. Sometimes there's a gun there. Uh, so I kind of like circle around some of the stuff because I don't see it immediately like you guys see it now. So now I'm clearing my area. I'm looking. I'm looking. I know this side and the right side are clear. I don't know if this side is clear, so of course I look. I choose to use looter right now, which is it's a perk I would only use at the beginning of the game. Anytime after the beginning of the game, you should never use it. There's just no point of it. In honesty, looter is like for a time like this where you don't know. Oh, I should pause it right here. Looter is for a time where you don't know uh, where the guns are, where any items are, so you use it right then. To use it at the end of the map is pointless because the objective at the end of the map is that anything else that you need, you just grab off of dead bodies. Anybody you kill, that's going to be your loot. Uh, so never, beginning of the game, perfect if you choose to use it. If not, whatever. But it's never something to be used at the end of a game. So actually, at this point, I've heard footsteps, and I've been turning left and right to figure out where the footsteps were coming from. So at a point earlier, I heard footsteps in my right ear. Um, so I know my friend is like behind me. So I turn left very quickly to see where the footsteps are coming from. And as I turned left, and my ear points more forward, ideally, like if my head is facing north, I turn my head left. Now my ear is facing north. I don't hear the footsteps in front of me anymore. So I'm like, okay, that must be that must be my friend behind me. I ended up turning right for just to clear out an area, and I heard footsteps on my left, which I know must not be my friend because my friend is behind me on the right. So I realize there's a guy here. So I'm looking at the level 2 armor because I think it's weird that if there's a guy here and I can tell he's under me because he's somewhere in this area, why did he not take the level 2 armor? Like, that's not something necessarily that's going to be plentiful in this area. So I realized he must not be on this floor. I hear him again. Boom. I see a guy. Now, one thing I'm listening for is what is he stepping on? I hear him stepping on metal. There's metal, concrete, wood in this area. So me trying to distinguish exactly what do I hear him stepping on, I know it's metal. I know he's somewhere in this row of an area. Now, right there, you might have missed it. It was really fast. The bottom right corner of where I just shot that guy, I didn't realize because it was super fast. I didn't realize a second guy had ran past. So in my head, I'm only thinking there's one guy here, possibly a second. But I'm only sure of one guy because I didn't see that second guy's head. So I'm telling my friend that I seen him because I don't want to jump down there because I actually don't have armor. Armor and a gun are the two things you're going to want to get before you engage any fight. So I'm looking around, I'm crouching, and I realize I need just a little bit more view, so I'll go prone to see if I can see any feet. I don't because I'm looking on the wrong floor. I realize I must be looking on the wrong floor, so I know that this area is clear because there's like not much of a big chance this guy's gonna hit me. One thing I could have done and I didn't do is that with looter, and I've never really seen anybody use this as a tactic, but this would have been a good tactic and a time to use it. Is that I can see every item through a certain distance of floors, and I'm pretty sure I'm able to see at least 2 floors down. So one thing I could have done was just look down at the floor and see if they picked up any items. If an item goes missing on the ground that I see, then there's definitely a person there, obviously. So I could have actually tracked them, but I more just kept to my instincts rather than trying to use like a cheesy little trick because I've never really practiced it, and it's not something that I'd say it's like a god tactic to do. It's just something like a secondary, like if all else fails, like you can use this. So I know I'm safe. I'm just trying to get me some ammo, maybe like some throwables, uh, to fight this guy because I don't want to necessarily just go in there guns blazing. Like that's how you die. I want to go in there and call it safe. Now, one thing I found weird was that this guy called up the elevator. Um, the reason that's weird is because you can just jump off of the if you do a run and jump, not just jump off. If you run and jump off of this building, your flight suit will deploy and you'll be much quicker or whatnot. To call up the elevator is kind of dumb because there's a hole at the top of it that I can just, you know, I can just throw down at you. Because after you go to a certain distance of the, after you go down a certain distance inside the elevator shaft, I can choose to throw a grenade down, right? If I had one. Your only exit at that point is to jump out the side. But to jump out the side, you take fall damage and you probably die. So I don't know. It was just a weird call for them. So I decided to jump, check the hole. I didn't see anybody. Uh, I can tell through looter. I see an SDM. I thought it was weird they didn't take that. Whatever. I figured they must have were really banking on a close range fight, so they didn't want it. Me, on the other hand, I know I can kill anybody with this swordfish. So I don't necessarily need a second gun. I do a quick drop and I check forward to clear that out because I know it's the only place they're gonna be able to hit me from. I don't take the KN because the swordfish has a faster firing rate. That's like it's like a 4-round burst, but like the speed you can shoot it at is like absolutely ridiculous. I don't actually like it though. Between the swordfish and the ABR, I believe the ABR is better. Just because you have a lot more range and the bullet spread is a lot tighter at longer distances. And swordfish is more like a it's like an SMG at anything like longer than like medium range, yo. It's actually like I don't enjoy it. It took me a long while to decide which one I wanted, yo. So I'm listening for the people. I don't know where they are. I hear my friend call down the elevator. I know he's inside. Why did I not pick up that ABR? I must have not seen it. Oh, you know what? I didn't pick up the ABR because I had an SDM, and I knew that if I picked up, like the ABR, like I said earlier, is better at long distances. Anything close distance, I would rather have a swordfish. It's putting in more bullets faster, and I can do it like almost at like automatic, right? So I decided not to get it, which is sad because I'm sort of scared that I'll miss my first shot. Where the swordfish should be a little bit more forgiving. So don't think I'm a hypocrite. I literally really did want that ABR, but for my situation, if these people weren't here, I would have grabbed it. But for my situation, I was like, it's not a good time to get it. So my friend says he sees him. I'm looking. I don't really see him. But he's hot on his trail. So my friend says he knows exactly where he is. So he's asking me how do you wingsuit. I tell him just run and jump. Again.